Hi, I'm Sherry McGill, and you're watching Lessons Learned. Hello, welcome back to Finish It Friday. Glad to see you here again. I'm glad to be back to my old self, almost. I still have a crazy bad cough, but I feel great. So things are moving right along, with or without the cough. My poor husband is still suffering a little bit. He has more of the head thing than the cough. He does have the cough, but he's missed a few days' work and is resting and trying to get better. But yeah, I'm glad I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. Thank goodness. And I thank all of you for all your well-wishing. Just about everybody that usually comments, they were there telling me to get well, to get better. And that's what I've been trying to do, taking care of myself and trying to get rid of this nasty cold or whatever it is so that we can continue to sew and quilt and have fun here on the channel. So I do have a couple of finishes this week. I received the block number 7, I think it was, of the Nantucket Summer, and that's called Driftwood. So I was able to put that together this week. Super easy, lots of little half square triangles and squares, and some what are these called? Flying geese. Yep. So that project is moving right along. It's 12 blocks, so I have 5 more blocks to go. And I have another block of the month starting in April. Would be about when this one's getting finished up. So we'll talk about that later. I also got one of my So Yeah subscription boxes out and did one of them. This is Fairy Frost, and it came in this black, which is heavily encrusted with glitter, and then a gray that's glittery, and then one that's kind of more of a mother of pearl look, and then I added some other fabric in with it. The basic pattern that they gave didn't include the circles, and I'll share with you how this quilt came to be and the trials and tribulations associated with it, even though it's a super easy pattern. So I'm going to insert some footage of me making this quilt right here. Hello, welcome back. I have a little bit different type of video for you today. I have a little backstory on this. This is called the Fairy Starry Quilt, and it is from So Yeah subscription box October. And I got this down one day thinking I would just whip it right out. And I just ran into some snags, and I've mentioned it before in other videos, but just to recap, several of the Fairy Frost fabrics called for 1/3 of a yard for some of those strips, and you were to get 3-4 inch long strips out of there. And of course, for that you would need exactly 12 inches cut razor straight, and I didn't check that to see if it was, well, I guess I did, because when I went to trim the fabrics, I did have to trim off inside of 1 inch to get it straight, and by that time it was too late. I realized I had cut off any extra that I had to make 3-4 inch wide strips. That's not my fault, but you know, I can deal with that. I did have to ask for some more fabric, and they gladly sent it to me. And one mistake that I made after that was I didn't ask for enough of the colors in the replacement fabric. I got the 2 grays, but I didn't get the white. And as I'm putting this together here recently, I've noticed that, hey, where's my white strips? Well, that was one of those 30 yards pieces that I had trimmed down and no longer had enough of to make all of my strips that I need. So I decided I'm not going to ask for any more fabric. I am going to use something I already have. And I found this in my stash. I actually bought it fairly recently. But this is called Frosted Forest. And it also has a little bit of a, metallic sheen to it. It's not real metallic-y, but it looks really good. And what's supposed to happen, if you can see my iPad there, the top section has the colored parts on the left and the dark on the right, and then the opposite for the bottom, and then in between the two you have one black strip. Well, that one black strip is supposed to be that top left, the very top one on this frame. The very top one, you see how it's short on that left hand end? That's because the pattern's asking for a width of fabric, 4-inch by width of fabric to attach to it. And once I cut the selvages off of my fabric, it was only 41. Well, the rows underneath there, all the other rows underneath that one black row are 40 inches, less than 40 inches. So, no, it's the opposite. They're more like 44 inches. That's what it is. And that's why I'm 3 or 4 inches short there at the top. No problem. I didn't have any specific size constraints with this quilt. I was just going to go with it and trim it down as needed. And this piece turned out pretty straight, but I didn't have to add a full width of fabric strip on there anywhere yet. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have to trim that down on that side and do an equal amount of trimming on the dark side of this one. And then, well, let me just go ahead and do that, and I'll put the two together and you can see what the design is supposed to be. Okay, so here it is. Very starry. This is it. This is a very simple project. It's meant to be quilted and bound just like this. Now that I've added this other fabric, I've kind of got some other ideas with this. So I think I'm going to add something to it to make it a little more interesting. So here's what I've come up with. I had 2 more colorways of that tree fabric. One had a light gray background, which is that biggest circle, and then the lower circle had a little bit darker gray background, and then the circle at the top is one of the fairy frost. It's the gray one. It's the one that doesn't have the pinkish look to it, and I love the way it looks on there. It just kind of disappears into it, but yet you can see it. So I don't know, phases of the moon or something. I don't know. This is feeling very astronomical. Anyway, now I got to figure out how to put those on there. Be right back. Okay, so I have the circles attached now with Heat and Bond. I used the purple one, the lightweight one. I think from here I'm just going to baste it and quilt it and bind it. So stay tuned for the end of this. This will be a to be continued, so you can see me do some free motion and finish it up. So I'm free motioning these swirls on here, and I get over to the black and I cannot see what I'm doing. I'll show you on the back what happened. I was trying to go in my normal circles, swirls, and I was crossing over because I just simply could not see on this black. So I'm going to go with something else on the black, maybe just a swirly straight line across the width of the quilt on each of those strips. And then when I get back down to this area, I'll do some more swirls. So I'm not really crazy about how variegated thread looks on this lighter fairy frost. It's okay, but I feel like this one right here, you can't really, it almost looks like I didn't finish it. This is the thread. I don't remember the name of it, but it's an Aurifil variegated thread. It's okay, I guess. From a distance, you're not going to be able to tell. Okay, so there it is. All quilted and done and got it finished. I don't know, it was I think I'll call it galactical disaster or something like that. Anyway, makes a cute kind of a wall hanging maybe for someone who likes astronomy, which my husband does, so you never know. This might end up in his office on the wall. Who knows? All right, so we have some other things to share with you here that came in on the email. Thank you very much for sending those. And as always, thank you for paying attention to my guidelines for submitting photos. You guys are doing good. And the first one I have is from Sherry. And she is a fellow retreater that I was at the retreat with in October. And she wanted to share with us her Kaffe Fassett quilt that she got finished. And let me see what she says about it here. She says when she was at the retreat, she gave, hold on, that's not right. Yeah, when she was at the retreat, she gave Soya a king-size quilt to quilt for her son. It's done with Kaffe Fassett fabric, very bright oranges and maroons. And here are some pictures of that. Yes, I love the pinks and bright pinks and maroons and oranges together, and your sashing is sort of a magenta color. I love that. And then the back has sort of a watercolor rainbow look to it, which is awesome. And then I also wanted to share with you her Dress-A-Girl dresses that she did for the So Yeah charity thing that they're doing. Nice job. Those will be well loved. Thank you, Sherry. That's beautiful. I love your Kaffe quilt for your son. I hope he cherishes it as I would, definitely, if someone gave me a quilt like that. And then Bobby has sent something. She has been working on her Vintage Mystery Quilt. And we see that she has made hers with a white background and just all sorts of different bright colors in there. Greens, yellows, pinks, blues, even a few little dark ones in there too. And it looks fantastic. Love it. I can't wait to quilt mine. I'm getting anxious to quilt it. Great job, Bobby. And then Dolly also sent us some placemats that she made. These are 19-inch square. And I was wanting to mention something about how she did the quilting, because the quilting looks very, very nice. Let's see. She made them both from a charm pack that she was gifted. and she enjoyed doing the circular quilting on one of them. She used a set of free motion quilting rulers that produced different sizes of circles or fan quilting designs. She said it was pretty easy to do on this small size of a quilt, but would be a little more hesitant to do it on a large quilt. I can understand that. I just got through free motion quilting this. It's not a huge quilt, and I fussed and carried on trying to get it quilted. So yeah, I like the blues that you've used there from the charm pack, and how you've put those together is really classy, and the quilting that you did is excellent with those rulers. I got some rulers a while back to try to use, but my ruler foot does not go down far enough, or else the rulers are not thick enough to slide them along the foot. So I kind of put that aside and haven't gotten back to it yet, but I would like to learn how to use rulers on free motion quilting on the regular sewing machine over here. So these are great, guys. Sherry, Bobby, and Dolly, you did great jobs on these, and thank you so much for sending them in. This weekend I'm going to continue to put some shelving together in here and get to looking at my fabric and how to put that away a little better with the pieces that I got as far as storage goes. And we're halfway through our December cleanup, so the nitty-gritty part is mostly over. Now it's more, you know, let's get arranged, let's get organized, and get things in their places so that we can get started in January fresh again. So have a great weekend, you guys. I hope you find something you can sew on this weekend. It's a busy time of year for a lot of people, and sometimes we put our sewing to the side. But if you can make a little time to sew, it'd be really good for your mental health. And it's always nice to be creative and let that creativity flow out of us by means of our sewing machines. So have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys back here on Monday for Monday Quilt Chat. Bye!